Did Jordan Mailata do enough to say at least start work as being the first team guy, or you think they default to Andre Dillard in the first round pedigree and give him one more opportunity?
They're going to give him opportunity, but what I saw last year, and I think the turning point for me when I was thinking that, all right, he's, Jordan Mailata's finally put the ukulele down, become a player, is when he's playing. He's
a hell of a singer, by the way.
Right. But I just don't need that. Wait till you retire for that. It was the Dallas game. And he figured out, wow, if I put my hands on people and I start choking people and dominating people, I feel pretty good about myself. I like this. He started manhandling Lawrence. And I was like, you know what? This is what I needed to see. He started throwing him around a little bit. And he saw that he could finish plays. And once a player gets that in his head that, all right, I'm a dominant player and I can finish plays, it's going to make him a better player. He wasn't doing that before. I think he was thinking through stuff too much, Now he understands the sets. He's finally an offensive lineman and not just a great athlete. What's up, fellas?
Hey, Friday edition of Birds 365. Look at that happy guy.
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't even introduced him yet, and he's already he jumps the gun on the stream. So why shouldn't he jump the gun on us, too? Joining us here on Birds 365 is our guy, Barrett Brooks. Where did you get that hat?
You guys, I saw you guys with the hats on when I was watching your show. So let me put the hat on. Then I look on the show today when I was sitting in the.
We switched it up on you, man.
Right. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take it off. But
now, is that a Kanga or just a regular beret? What kind of hat was that?
Oh, this is a regular, just a regular.
Okay, a regular hat. Yeah. I had my hat on. I took the hat off because it's a little tight on my head. But you got to go for comfort and things like this. Hey, how comfortable are you? I like the. What do you got? The camo on there?
Yeah, just a camo sweatshirt on. The hoodie.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, ex-football players can actually dress nice. I didn't know that was a possibility.
Speaking of dressing nice, that's Malcolm Jenkins. We just talked about Malcolm.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Devonair.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Malcolm could dress, and Malcolm can lead. And that's one of the things we just discussed about. I want to get your take on that. Who's going to be the leader on field in the huddle of the 2021 Eagles defense?
It was a problem last year, and it'll be a problem this year. You guys spoke about Rodney McLeod. He wasn't really that leader that you would look to say, all right, we got to go out there and play. I think Jalen Mills took a step in that direction and was that guy more so last year as far as being a leader on that defense. But at this point, when you look at the basis of a defense, I say it all the time. It's nothing like if you're an offensive lineman and you look across the field and see that Mike linebacker sitting there that wore number 55, the late and great Junior Seau, or you look across, you see 52 in Ray Lewis, and you have to account for him. Not only is he a guy that can mix things up and break up plays, but you have to make sure you get your double team off to him. You got to figure out where he is as far as schematically on the defense. So it's usually a linebacker who fills that void. Well, we know that the Eagles don't value linebacker. They need to start valuing a linebacker. They went out and got Wilson. I like him. He's going to be, very integral as far as, what they're trying to do on the defensive side of the ball, because we know the defensive coordinator, he came from Indianapolis, and that's when their defense turned the corner. They went out and got Darius Leonard, a really good middle linebacker. Well, you need that type of guy in your system. You can't just rely on your front four to be the guys that, make your system what it is. And that's the difference between a defense that we're going to have this year coming up than we had with Schwartz. Schwartz wanted his guys up front to dictate the tempo, and that's where he set everything else with. We don't know what this defense is going to do. They don't do, a lot of teams don't do that. They want a defense that, you have guys in place that can be difference makers. And I think the middle linebacker position is a difference maker.
Yeah, I agree with you, Barrett. I want Devin White, though. How do you get Devin White in here?
Right.
The problem is you can't find those guys, and those old school middle linebackers are really becoming devalued and two down players. But you mentioned Darius Leonard, and also if you go back to Jonathan Gannon with the Vikings, it was Kendricks and Barr.
Yep.
And that's where Eric Wilson comes from. So I do think they're going to value it a little bit more. When you see, as a guy who played tackle and guard, when you see a Devin White or somebody with that kind of skill set that can run sideline to sideline, how antsy does it make it for you to say, I got to get to the second level on this guy?
And it really messes up a lot of scheme because everything is with, combination blocks. Even with blitzes, you still got a double team. And once you see somebody leave, somebody has to replace them. And if you're not on the right page with the guy next to you, it really puts you in an awkward position because now you have to really react off a guy that's super fast. So you might just get a hand on him. So now that's going to leave a guy like Fletcher Cox one-on-one instead of having a double team there because you have to account for where that linebacker is. I mean, it's hard, man. It's very, very hard as an offensive line because you're going to get ringed when you get to the sideline. Why didn't you get off on a linebacker? Well, I did get off on a linebacker. Why is Fletcher Cox running around by himself? Well, we had to get off on the linebacker. It's a double-edged sword. You can get to the linebacker, but then you leave the down lineman running free. So if they get somebody to that caliber, that ilk, then, it really changes the surface on how offenses schematically scheme defenses. And that's what you have. I know you're not a Parsons guy, but I think Parsons, I think he's going to be a middle linebacker and not an outside guy like in a 3-4 system. I really think that he's going to be a middle linebacker. But there's one guy that I really like that people aren't talking about a lot, but he's definitely somebody we can get in the second round, and that's Nick Bolton.
Yeah, I put Nick Bolton in my last mock draft. I was hoping he'd fall to the third round, but you're right. He's not going to fall to the third round now.
Nah, he's going to go second.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
No,
I've seen some people even put him at the end of the first round. So
me too. Yeah. In my evaluation, I saw him as a guy that's going to go the end of the first, very, very early in the second because he has a skill level. He's so fast. He reminds me a lot of a guy I played with, with the Giants. And that's oh my goodness, why can I forget that? See, that's that CTE, man. Michael Barrow. Yeah, Michael Barrow.
Michael Barrow, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He reminds me a lot of Michael Barrow because he can drop back in the pass. He can handle, the run. He runs through gaps. He sees the entire field. Michael Barrow was that type of play, and we, of course, he came from Miami, but he could play the game the old school way. And I think, Bolton's the same type of guy. He's fast, he's quick, he's explosive, he can shed blocks. And, I think there's going to be a problem with a lot of the other guys, just like the kid from Penn State. I think he's a little too small at 215, 220, 6'2". But, he's going to have a problem shedding those bigger blocks at the next level.
Talking about the Notre Dame kid?
Yes, the Notre Dame kid.
Yeah.
Notre Dame kid.
Yeah, he's really athletic.
Oh, my goodness. He can play safety. You can put him in safety. You can put him anywhere on the field. It's just about, you're not just covering guys in the NFL. You got to take on guys. And I think he's a little too narrow in the hind parts to do that.
We're talking to our boy Barrett Brooks here on Birds 365. We had Lane Johnson on yesterday, Barrett, with us, and we were talking about returning and what his job is for this upcoming year, the difference between blocking for Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. And I asked him about Brandon Brooks coming back. As a former offensive lineman, these two guys have played together. We were just talking about practice sessions, preseason camp, and stuff like that. Yeah, Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks don't need that together because they know each other. Hopefully, the whole right-hand side of the Eagles' offensive line is back and healthy and the like. But they do need to learn to block for the quarterback this year. Certainly, Brooks has never done it, and Lane had some opportunity, not a ton, last year when Hurts took over. How much do you have to understand just the wants and desires of your quarterback and how he's going to react, and on a given play that you're going to call, ahead of time how you think it's going to go, when it can break down and the like? How much is the relationship between an offensive lineman and a quarterback? What does it need to be?
You have to know who you're blocking for. Like, a perfect example, my first couple of years in the league, especially my first year, I played with two quarterbacks with polar opposites. I had Randall Cunningham and Rodney Peete. Now, Pete was a designated pocket passer. He's going to push the ball down the field. He's a smart player. He's going to call plays and get you out of plays you shouldn't be in. That's the type of player he was. Randall was totally different. Totally. I mean, he called the play, know the play wasn't going to work, but wouldn't change the play because he felt more inclined to use his athletic prowess as opposed to, changing the play. That's two different mindsets. His launch point might be anywhere on the field, and we know exactly where Rodney Pete's going to be. He's going to be exactly where he's at. If it's a 7-step, he's going to be right there at 7-step. If it's 3-step, he's going to be a 3-step. 5-step, he's not veering, left or right any more than he has to from that 5-step drop. Well, I mean, if you look at Randall, you could whiff your guy and make the biggest late block or wahoo block you could have, and he would fade away, throw it down the field, and it'd be a 80-yard touchdown. But there were also times where I'm blocking a guy for a solid 6-7 seconds, and he's running around for no reason. There's nobody with any pressure on him or anything, but he hasn't thrown the ball yet. So you have to know what your quarterback brings to the table, what he likes, and also certain quarterbacks fade to different sides. If you watch a quarterback drop back, they very rarely just drop straight back. They usually either fade to their backside, so they'll fade to the left side, which is terrible because that's where they put their best pass rushers at. And if you're a left tackle, you hate that on a right-handed quarterback. But they fade to that side. So you have to have a stud at the left side because a guy fade to it. If you have a left-hand quarterback, it's the same way to the right side. They fade a little bit. I mean, look at look like Michael Vick. He would always fade to that right side, which is why you had to have a stud at the right tackle position. So there's a lot of dynamics to what you're doing on the field, with what quarterback you have on the field. Now, Jalen, I think Jalen's going to be the type that, of course he's going to want to run out and use his athletic talent. I think they're going to call plays. They're going to call waggle protections where they pull the right side guard and he's like, he leads them out and he's going to sit there and he's going to throw the ball, try to get it deep. They're going to run play action for him, boot protections for him. But they are going to have to sit back and run drop back passes for him. And if they do that, I think his game can go to another level if they get him in a position where he starts to understand where he's going to be bread and his butter. Maybe they have him build this, connection with the tight end or build a connection, with the slot receiver. They have to start this now. They got to have camp. They got to know, the timing of what the offense is going to be.
We kind of know the plan on the offensive line, Barrett. One of the few, if everybody's healthy, we know Lane's going to be there, Brandon's going to be there, Jason, Isaac, Sayamalo. Left tackle, though, we don't know. We don't know quite yet. So where are you in the Jordan Mailata, Andre Dillard discussion? A lot of people have given up on Andre Dillard. He was going to be the left tackle last year.
Yes, he was going to be the left tackle.
If he didn't tear his bicep. So did Jordan Mailata do enough to say at least start work as being the first team guy, or you think they default to Andre Dillard in the first round pedigree and give him one more opportunity?
They're going to give him opportunity, but what I saw last year, and I think the turning point for me when I was thinking that, all right, he's, Jordan Mailata's finally put the ukulele down, become a player, is when he's playing. He's
a hell of a singer, by the way.
Right. But I just don't need that. Wait till you retire for that. It was the Dallas game. And he figured out, wow, if I put my hands on people and I start choking people and dominating people, I feel pretty good about myself. I like this. He started manhandling Lawrence. And I was like, you know what? This is what I needed to see. He started throwing him around a little bit. And he saw that he could finish plays. And once a player gets that in his head that, all right, I'm a dominant player and I can finish plays, it's going to make him a better player. He wasn't doing that before. I think he was thinking through stuff too much, Now he understands the sets. He's finally an offensive lineman and not just a great athlete. With Dillard, I don't know. I mean, I can't say that Dillard would be a guy that
he's so athletic. He's so athletic.
I know, man, but you can't buy a heart. It's not like you go see the Wizard. Yeah. You can't go see the Wizard and get the heart. I've never seen a guy more happy to be injured and put on IR than I saw Dillard. I'm like, why is he skipping around? You know what I'm saying? Wow. It was almost like the sound of music was flowing through his head when he was on the sidelines with that sling on last year. I'm like, come on, now, are you kidding me? He was happy to be on IR because it didn't feel to me. I'm just talking about me that he really wanted to play. Well, that's just me, though. He said all the right things, but your body language and what you do on the field tells. The eye in the sky will never lie, and I saw a guy that didn't want to play.
That better change going into this year. And by the way, I'll answer the question that John posed to you. Real simple, and this will be one of those first tests for the new coaching staff that I'll use leading into the season. There's no doubt in my mind the way left tackle should be handled. It's an open competition. How much have we used the word competition this year? Going back to Carson Wentz didn't want to compete for his job, get me the hell out of here. And it basically threw the entire Eagles offseason into turmoil. Both he and Howie are on the record. Competition is important. We're all about competition. It's all about, well, and how is it anything but an open competition? There shouldn't be a starting left tackle and a 1 or 1A. No, it's not to be determined. It'll be determined on the field. Nobody should go in with a head, a nose in front, or a lead to the job. May the best man win. You have the entire preseason, and I think they will get preseason games in this year. Whoever comes out of camp as the best guy, that's the starter week 1.
It's plain and simple.
Sound like I've been in the National Football League for decades as an offensive lineman, but I do feel strongly about that one. But Barrett, let me ask you this. You mentioned last year Mailata showing you something by laying hands on a defensive lineman. You're a couple of years removed now from the league. And John and I were talking earlier about comparing Jim Schwartz with Jim Johnson and Bud Carson, and we all acknowledge the game has changed, the rules have changed, the way it's played has changed a lot over the years. How much does it annoy you that they actually let offensive linemen lay hands on defensive linemen? That's just one of the tweaks. It's probably talked about less than hands off cornerbacks on defense, on offensive pass receivers. But the fact that the offensive linemen are now allowed to use a little hands, and plays that you used to get called for holding on are now just look the other way in the National Football League. Does it bother you as a guy who used to be held to a tougher standard by the rules?
I'm going to tell you the truth. I'd probably have been all pro if I could have played in this era. Because, I mean, you could reach out, touch a guy, and bring him into your body. And as long as you have him within the framework of his pads and inside like this, you can hold him all day. You know, if you get him outside, that's where they're going to call it on you. Outside the shoulder pads. But if you get him inside like this, you can literally pull him towards you and hold him like that, and he can't go anywhere. You can do that. And that's a far cry from when I played, man. If you pull them and they could just go like this, act like they're trying to get away, and that's how they would get the fouls called or yellow flags everywhere. It's an offensive league, you know that, and the only way that they can allow these quarterbacks to push the ball down the field is if they let go a lot of the line play and be more lenient in their ability to see things. Well, they'd see it, but to call things that they used to call back in the day. I mean, it's a different game. They allow that. But they are restricting the defense a lot more. You can't even touch wide receivers or quarterbacks these days. But on offensive line, it's almost like anything goes. Anything goes.
And, that makes it a little bit easier, I would imagine, for the younger players, Barrett, to start to develop. That's one thing I wanted to get into. One of the silver linings of last season, all the injuries, you did get people like Nate Herbig. We talked about Jordan, Jack Driscoll, got some really valuable reps. They're, if everything goes right, they're not going to need those guys this year. But from an offensive lineman's perspective, what did you see from those guys? Do they have legitimate opportunities to be good players in this league?
There's no question. Nate Herbig grew so much as a player from his first year to his second year. When they said they were going to start him for day one, you could have bought me with a wooden nickel. I'm like, come on now. Are you kidding me? Herbig? I mean, all he does is smile at practice. I see him smile on the field. But he went out there and showed that he can be a guy that it's going to be hard to get around him. I mean, he's not the most athletic guy in the world, but it's hard to get around him, whether it's run play or pass play. He understands what his body can do, and his body can bulldoze and not be moved if he doesn't want to be moved. And that's how he played. He had, pretty good pass sets where he allowed the guy to get into his body, sat down, and kept him from getting there. That's what you want from an offensive lineman. He used what he has to his advantage, and that's size and girth. And I was proud of the kid, man. He played well. He played a little nasty. And I wouldn't have a problem if something happens to Kelsey, if Mailata moved into center and they move Herbig to the left guard position. I mean, that could really work out for this team. We all know Kelsey, man. Kelsey is held together by duct tape and bubble gum. I don't see how he plays every week, man. Every time he steps off the field, he looks like the walking wounded. You know what I mean? But he finds a way to come back. If he does decide to hang it up, not this year coming, but the next year, I think they're pretty safe at moving Sayamalu over, and the guys they have in that locker room right now at the guard position.
Jason's amazing. When he hurt his elbow last year, I said, "Oh, he's done."
Right,
he's out there for a play. He's cursing. He's out there. He's out. He goes in the locker room. He's back out in the third quarter.
John, I thought he was done. I thought he was done for the year.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, he got it caught. Player. He got it caught in between a helmet and a body, and he still finished the game. Unbelievable.
He is a tough SOB. No one will argue that. All right, Barrett, you gave us some opinions on a couple of draftable players. Want to get your opinion on a specific player who I don't think the Eagles are going to get. There's some rumors out there that the Cowboys may be able to get their hands on him, and that's tight end / wide receiver Kyle Pitts. Now, listening to you, I would think that you like tight ends who stay in tight and help you do your job, give you a helping hand. That's not Kyle Pitts. He's going to be spread out more than he's going to be standing in there next to a tackle. But the guy is a freakish athlete and a potential star player. Rumors out there that the Cowboys may be looking and willing to trade up to get a guy like Kyle Pitts. The Eagles might have been in position to take Kyle Pitts if they had stayed at 6. That's now not an option. Right. They're down to 12. What kind of an impact is Kyle Pitts going to have on the National Football League?
I mean, if he gets in that Dallas offense, I mean, we're talking about Amari Cooper, Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott running the ball, and then that offensive line, if they get a little bit healthy, I mean, it'll be almost an unstoppable offense. You know, we're talking about Kyle Pitts is the 6'6", 250-something pounds, and runs a 4.3, 4.4. I mean, that's ridiculous stats. Though you're talking about somebody that's not even human, running around out there like a wide receiver, like you said, but has the catch radius of a guy that's, you know, that's huge out on the field. He does everything that you want from a wide receiver, but he has a tight end build. He's a game changer. He can now, you know, govern everywhere on the field. You know, he can go out and play on the outside, be fast enough to run outside routes, put him in the slot. You can put him at the wing position. I mean, he'll eventually learn how to block, you know, because, you know, as a player, you have to learn how, you know, your position. He will learn how to block. You know, he'll be like a Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp was the one of the best blocking tight ends that you can want. And everybody thinks he's just a pass catcher, but he was one of the best run blocking tight ends because he understood the dynamics of leverage, how to hold the player without them, you know, refs seeing it. I mean, he would block down on guys' arms, pull the shoulder pad in, and just run with them. And everybody's like, "Oh, look at Shannon." Well, he's actually cheating, but he knows how to do those type of things. And that's just become, you know, he was one of the veteran tight ends that could do just a lot of things, man. He will eventually learn that, but this guy's going to be a game changer out on the field. He's almost going to be unstoppable because if he has that mindset that, all right, I can catch everything, there's nothing out there that can really stop him, from a linebacker being too slow, a safety being too slow, a cornerback being too small. I mean, where else do you have that you can, you know, have that luxury to go out there and use, you know, all three levels of the offense?
Well, Barrett, you know this team's history better than anybody. When they're in the top half of the draft, it's generally quarterback, offensive line, defensive line.
Yep.
They poured a ton of assets into the receiver position already. When you look at, they took 3 picks in the draft last year at the position, JJ in the second round in 2019. At number 12 overall, can they even afford, with all the needs they have, to double down and draft another receiver, whether it's one of the Alabama kids or Kyle Pitts does fall as a sort of glorified tight end, which isn't going to happen, but can they even do that at number 12 overall?
I think that, you know, when the owner says that he needs to build around the quarterback that's there now, you know, meaning Hurts, is a strong possibility that, you know, if Waddle's there, I think Waddle's better than Smith at this point. I think Waddle's probably the second best receiver in this draft. You know, just what he brings up, just from the speed, his ability to get open and create separation. Those are things that, you know, Smith will have a problem with because, you know, he's fast, but he doesn't have that elite level separation, from the line. He's a little smaller, but hey, there have been guys that have been able to do that. D-Jax did it for years, but D-Jax also had some injury problems. I think Waddle's one of those special players that his speed will allow him to create that separation just from a player looking at him and saying, all right, I got to give him a little cushion because he's so fast. Just by the nature of his abilities, they'll give him a little cushion so they won't try to jam him off the line. So I think Waddle will do better than, just about any other wide receiver in this draft. Well, of course, Chase, if we could have gotten Chase at number 6, Chase is a generational talent. We're talking about Justin Jefferson should have been the rookie of the year on offense. He had over 1,300 yards.
Yeah.
And he played second fiddle to Chase in the national championship year 2 years ago. And you see what, Justin Jefferson did. I think Chase is going to be a phenomenal player. He ran a 4.3, huge size. You have to respect the fact that this kid, he can do it all from every position. You can line him up anywhere and he can play.
All right, add Barrett Brooks to the list of individuals who are under-evaluating Devonta Smith. He's short, he's undersized, doesn't have enough weight, doesn't have the separation that I do. But all he does is win Heisman trophies. And
that's all. Yeah, that's all.
That's all he does. It reminds me of a guy by the name of Chris Carter. All he did was catch touchdown passes.
But he was too slow, though, right? Yeah.
You can let him play for my team. I'll take a guy like that. I'm crazy silly like that. All right, so Barrett, what position is it going to be they're going to take? Do you think it's going to be Waddle? Do you think it's going to be a wide receiver when we get there and the draft? Now, I'm asking an impossible question. You need a crystal ball to know what level players are taken before the Eagles, but when they're on the clock at 12, I'm not even asking you to give me the player, just give me the position. What position are they taking?
I truly think they're going to go cornerback, just by the nature of what this division has done. We already have the 3 wide receivers down in Dallas, look at Samuels went to Washington football team. You saw what they did with the Giants. They went out there and invested a lot of money in their guys, you have to have somebody that can cover. Right now we just have one real cornerback that can cover on the outside. And Big Play Slade needs somebody opposite of him. And we need a generational talent to go over there and be a guy that we can. I'm just being selfish. That's what I'm saying. I'm being selfish because I'm tired of watching games that I have to break down and talk about after the game and holding my breath every time I saw 3rd and 10 and I got a DB out there on a number 1 or number 2 wide receiver. It gets old, man. I'm already getting gray in my beard because I don't have any hair up here.
You got catching up to do, buddy. Don't complain about a gray beard to McMullen and McDonald. That would be your second mistake. That's underrating Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
Well, we need a DB that can be a cornerstone in the defense. We devalue that position, and we need to get back to valuing that position. I played, me and Bobby Taylor were drafted in the 2nd round together. Look at, they drafted 1st round corners with the late and great Jimmy Johnson. We have to go out there and get guys that can go out there and cover these wide receivers. And we don't have them right now. We can't just, go get practice squad guys off other teams and try to make them starters because they have one day in which they played well and then give them a contract to play for the rest of the season. We need guaranteed wide receivers, stoppers, no longer going out there and wishing and hoping on a prayer and getting beat for 6 every single game. I can't do it, man. I'm getting, I'm starting to get, kidney stones and antacid. I need more antacid for my stomach, man. Every time I'm watching the defense on 3rd down.
Well, we'll let you go get your antacids in. Barrett, great stuff. Tell Harry and Anton we send our regards. Appreciate you jumping aboard. We will bug you to join us every once in a while if that's cool, brother.
Oh, you know what? I love it. I appreciate it. And you know how it is with those guys, man. Once they get derailed, man, you never know what we'll talk about.
Stay on that stream, Barrett.
All right, take it easy.
Appreciate you coming on board with us. That's Barrett Brooks from the middle here on the JAKIB's media channel. You're coming back to Birds 365, McDonald and McMullen, and we'll probably sneak in a little wrestling talk before we put this bad boy away for the week.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.